Energy in daily life. We do various activities in our daily, such as reading, writing, carrying heavy loads, working in the field, etc. We cannot do such work without having food for a long time. Similarly, vehicles cannot be operated without burning fuel. Electrical equipment does not operate without access to electricity. We get energy from food. Vehicles are powered by diesel, petrol, or other fuels, whereas electrical appliances are powered by electricity. It is the energy that makes all the above mentioned equipment of the application run accordingly. Therefore, the capacity of doing work is called energy. Uh, Energy is measured in a joule. The SI unit of J is the SI unit of joule energy. A calorie is widely used to measure energy, which is CGS unit of energy. OME calorie is equal to the 4.2 joules. Different types of energy are required to do different work in the daily life. Mechanical energy, heat energy, light energy, sound energy, magnetic energy, electrical energy, chemical energy, nuclear energy, etc. Different forms of energy. Those sources from which we get these different forms of energy are called sources of energy. The energy which cannot be immediately replaced once they are depleted in non-renewable energy. Examples of non-renewable example coal, petroleum product, and nuclear energy. The energy which cannot be exhausted even after a continuous consumptions turns renewable energy. Example of renewable are solar energy, wind energy, and tidal energy. Heat. Heat is a form of energy that gives us warmth. We can feel the heat. We can identify an hot or cold object by touching them. When we touch any object hotter than our body, the heat transfers from the hot object to our skin. Where areas touching an object are cooler than our body, heat transfers from the skin to the cold object. While cooking, we burn fire at the bottom of the pot. Why does the pot handles or exterior surface heat up during cooking? Why does the glass tumbler heat up when you pour hot water into it? Why does the touching hot water make us feel hot? Touching ice make feel cold. Heat transfer from the Heat transfer from the hotter body to the colder body. Heat flows from the body at the higher temperature to the body at the lower temperature. When we touch hot objects, heat is transferred from these objects to our skin, causing us feel heated. Similarly, we feel cold while touching cold objects because they transforms our bodies to the colder objects. The process of transferring of the heat energy from one object to another is called a transmission of heat. The introduction of the conduction, convection, and radiation process of the heat transfer as well as their use in daily life. We will be covered in this chapter. Transfer of heat by method of conduction. uh, Conductor and insulator. Take a candle and a matchstick box. Light the candle and heat the objects including the pencil, wooden piece, plastic pipe, etc. One at the one one at the one kept on the flame of a lamp. Does the other and become hot under the supervision of your teacher? Handle these things with caution and safety first. Record your findings in the table below. In the above activity, steel pans, aluminium ladles, and iron nails conduct heat, but a pencil, wooden piece, and a plastic pipe do not conduct heat and rather start to bond themselves. Generally, heat flows in a metals but not in non-metals. Heat materials that allow heat to pass through them easily are called a good conductor of heat. For example, iron, copper, aluminum, gold, etc. are the good conductor of heat. Materials that do not allow to heat pass through them are called insulators of heat. For example, wood and plastic are insulators of heat. The conductivity of various objects. Conductivity is a historical property of an object that conducts heat. Thermal conductivity refers to the how quickly or slowly materials conduct heat. Objects with the high conductivity conduct heat faster than objects and the low conductivity. Most of the metals have high thermal conductivity. Therefore, when metals are brought near the source of heat, they are heated very quickly. Due to this property of metal, they are used for making cooking utensils. On the other hand, materials like plastic, cotton, and rubber have very low thermal conductivity. However, low conductivity of heat can also have a several advantages. For example, warming clothing made of wooden wool prevents escaping of the heat into the atmosphere. The conductivity of different metals is non-uniform. The thermal conductivity of a material depends on the molecular properties of the materials and its temperature. Even though diamond is not a metallic, has higher thermal conductivity than a metals. Graphite is a conductive or non-metal. Application of conduction in daily life. While the cooking utensils is made of copper, steel, iron, or aluminum metals, what their handles are made of wood or thermostat plastic. Why is it warm when you wear a jacket? Why is the house made of mud cold in the summer and warm in winter? Why do birds seem flat on the very cold days? The answer to this question are related to the transmission of heat. Some application of a conduction of heat and heat in daily life can be mentioned as follows. Metals are used to make a cooking utensils like pans, kettles, using because they easily transfer heat from the source of sourced food. The handle of the tea kettle is made of a plastic because plastic is a poor conductor of heat, so it does not allow it to reach the hands. Woolen clothes or blankets are used to keep our bodies warm in the winter because wool prevents body heat from escaping the airs that lies between the layer of a heavy wool clothing acts like a heat insulator. So woolen clothes and blankets keep the body warm in the more efficient manner. Mm. Uh, tea cups and coffee mugs are made of a porcelain because porcelain is an insulator of heat. Transfer of heat by a convection method. Take a take two breakers and fill two-thirds of the water in the both beakers. Put a few drops of red ink in the both beakers. Consider heating a beaker by placing it on a tripod stand and keeping the other breaker at the room temperature. Write the difference between you noticing these two breakers after also observation of them. It can be observed that the color water kept in a hot breaker steadily heats up and rises while the cold water at the top descends to occupy the space. This process of transmission of the heat due to the movement of water molecules inside the beakers is called a convection. After some time, water is beaker is heated to the convection. However, this is no heat transfer by a convection in the next weaker at the room temperature, so the color disperses slowly in the water. Convection also occurs in air molecules just as in water. Heat is transferred by atmosphere by moving hot air molecules from one place to another. Hot air molecules go up and cold air molecules falls, which causes the movement of air molecules in the atmosphere. The process of transmission of heat in a liquid and gas due to the actual movement of molecules called convection. During the daytime, the Earth's surface is heated due to the solar radiation. When the air closest to the Earth's surface is heated, hot air becomes lighter and rises, leaving a vacuum or an empty space in its place. Cold air comes from heavy nearby regions to fills this space. In this way, the movement of air takes place due to convection and it's called wind. Convection is the main cause of wind. This much for today.